Hey, listener. Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're headed to London for Christmas.
Oh, fun.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at how Christmas in London has become such a huge draw for tourists.
Right.
We've got a whole bunch of research piled up and ready to go.
Yeah.
Our main source for this one is an excerpt from the book chapter, Festive Space and Dream Worlds, Christmas in London.
Okay.
And get this.
What?
London's Christmas celebrations are actually based on German traditions.
Really?
Yeah. And all those lights that London's so famous for
Mm-hmm.
might have a downside.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So should we dive right in?
Let's do it.
All right. So to start us off, can you give us a quick rundown of the history of Christmas in London?
Sure. Well, you won't be surprised to hear that Christmas in London has evolved over centuries,
Right.
blending all sorts of different myths and stories and traditions and rituals.
Yeah, real mix.
Yeah, exactly. Like a big Christmas pudding
I like it.
with lots of different ingredients.
And, during the Victorian era, there was this growing concern that Christmas was becoming less important, fading away.
Really?
Yeah, so they decided to do something about it.
Oh, so what? Did they throw a giant Victorian Christmas party?
Well, not quite. But they did try to revive the holiday.
Oh, okay.
They wanted to make it special again. They were collecting English customs to try and stop Christmas from becoming too commercial.
But didn't that kind of backfire?
Yeah, it's ironic, isn't it? Those efforts actually helped create the very commercial celebrations we see in London today.
Wow. So they kind of accidentally invented the Christmas monster.
You could say that.
But I guess all that commercialization must be good for tourism.
Oh, definitely.
Oh.
The numbers are pretty amazing. In December, day visits to London go up by 18.5% compared to November.
Wow.
And get this, overnight domestic visits,
Yeah.
they jump up by 59%.
That's huge.
Yeah, compared to the months before and after December.
Okay, so lots of people are heading to London for Christmas. I bet that really helps the economy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
For example, just take a look at the West End. Foot traffic there goes up by 30% during Christmas.
Wow.
And that means billions in revenue and thousands of temporary jobs created.
So the city gets a Christmas bonus.
You could see that.
That's incredible. So it's no wonder businesses really lean into the whole Christmas thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're very good at capturing that Christmas spirit.
Right, to attract shoppers.
Exactly.
Well,
That feeling of goodwill and generosity that people feel around Christmas, they're very clever about using it to increase sales and get people more engaged.
so it's not just about selling stuff. It's about selling an experience.
Yeah, you got it.
It's like they're marketing Christmas itself.
Mm-hmm. And even Santa Claus gets in on the action.
Oh, right. Like, how?
Well, think about Lapland and Finland. They market themselves as Santa's real home.
Right, with the reindeer and everything.
Exactly. It's a really smart way to tap into people's love for Christmas and those childhood memories.
But all of this mixing Christmas and commercialism, I mean, that must cause some debate, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
There are valid arguments on both sides.
Like what?
Well, some people say that the real meaning of Christmas gets lost
Oh, yeah.
in all the shopping frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes more about buying gifts than spending time with loved ones.
Yeah, I get that. It's easy to get caught up in the shopping and forget what Christmas is really about.
Exactly. It's like you get so focused on decorating the tree that you forget about the people gathered around it.
Right. It's all about the experience.
Yeah. But, we also have to remember that London is a commercial city all year round.
That's true.
It's not just at Christmas.
So it's a bit unfair to blame Christmas for all the commercialism.
Exactly.
Okay.
Plus, a lot of the most popular Christmas events in London are free,
Oh, right? Like what?
like the Trafalgar Square Christmas tree lighting. It's a huge event that attracts tons of people and doesn't cost anything to go.
That's a great point. So you can still enjoy the Christmas spirit in London without spending a ton of money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's more about experiencing the city's transformation,
Right.
all the decorations and the lights, and that feeling of celebration in the air.
Okay. So speaking of transformation, let's talk about all the theming that goes into creating London's Christmas wonderland. Is there like a Christmas czar who decides on the overall theme?
Well, that's an interesting question. Unlike some cities that have a centralized approach, London's Christmas decorations are more of a collaborative effort.
Oh, interesting. So who's involved?
It's a mix of different groups. You've got local councils, businesses, business improvement districts.
Oh, the beads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all play a role.
So it's like everyone brings their own Christmas decorations to the party.
Exactly. It's that decentralized approach that creates such a diverse and layered Christmas experience across the city.
Oh, that makes sense. So each neighborhood has its own unique Christmas flavor.
Precisely.
So I guess that brings us to one of the biggest Christmas events in London, Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park.
Ah, yes, Winter Wonderland. It's a perfect example of how theming and commercialism come together in London.
So what's it like?
Well, imagine a giant winter village nestled in Hyde Park, with all these twinkling lights and ice sculptures. And there's a big Ferris wheel and all these cute little wooden chalets selling everything you can imagine.
Oh, wow. That sounds magical, like something out of a movie.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It attracts millions of visitors every year.
But I imagine something that big must also have its critics.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Some people see it as too much commercialization,
Mm-hmm.
taking over a public park and turning it into a massive fairground.
Right, so it's a tricky balance, finding that sweet spot between creating a festive experience and not overwhelming the public space.
You got it.
It's like trying to decorate a gingerbread house without using any icing.
Uh-huh. I like that analogy.
It might be possible, but it wouldn't be as much fun.
Exactly.
So speaking of cultural influences, we've got to talk about those Bavarian-style Christmas markets that have been popping up all over
Oh,
London.
yeah. Have you seen them?
Oh, absolutely. Those
No.
wooden chalets selling all the German treats and crafts. They're so popular.
They are. It's all part of this bigger trend we're seeing of
Mm.
connecting Christmas with Northern European traditions.
Right, like bringing a little bit of Germany to London.
Exactly. You can find traditional food and music crafts. It's like a mini German vacation without leaving the city.
I love that. But does this focus on one specific culture like Northern Europe clash with London's multicultural identity?
That's a good question.
Hmm.
And it definitely sparks some debate.
Yeah.
While these markets aren't meant to exclude anyone, they do present a very particular view of what Christmas should look and feel like.
Right.
And that might not resonate with everyone's background.
Okay, I see your point. It's like assuming everyone decorates their Christmas tree the same way.
Yeah, or eats the same food.
Exactly. Christmas traditions are different for everyone.
Exactly.
So I think we have to talk about one of the most universal elements of Christmas in London,
What's that?
the lights.
Oh, the lights. Yes.
I mean, those incredible displays all over the city, from Oxford Street to Covent Garden to Trafalgar Square. It's like the whole city is wrapped in a Christmas lights hug.
It's magical.
Yeah.
And, the tradition of these elaborate Christmas lights in London actually began in the 1950s on Regent Street.
Oh, wow.
Imagine London just starting to recover from the war,
Yeah.
and suddenly it's bathed in all these dazzling lights. It was a symbol of hope and renewal.
It must have been incredible.
It was. And from there, the tradition just exploded.
More and more streets each year.
Exactly. Now it's like a whole art form with each district trying to outdo the last.
It's like a friendly Christmas lights competition.
Yeah. But of course, with these huge displays, there are also concerns about energy consumption and the environmental impact.
Right. All those lights must use a lot of power.
They do. And some people argue that the carbon footprint is too high
Mm-hmm.
and that we need to find more sustainable ways to celebrate. Plus, a lot of these displays are really expensive. They're often sponsored by businesses.
Right. So it brings up those questions about commercialism again.
Exactly. Who's really benefiting from all this?
It's a tricky situation, isn't it? On the one hand, those lights bring so much joy and create a magical atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, we have to be aware of the environmental cost and the potential for it to become all about commercialism.
Absolutely. It's like trying to find the perfect Christmas gift.
Yeah.
You want something that's meaningful and sustainable.
Right.
It's a tough balance to strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is a tough balance.
Okay, so we were talking about those lights and how they started as this symbol of hope
Right.
in post-war London.
Mm-hmm.
And now they've become these huge artistic displays. I mean, it really transforms the city.
It does. It's amazing how they've evolved.
Yeah, it's like London becomes a stage for this Christmas spectacle.
Right. And speaking of stages,
Yeah.
London has so much Christmas-themed entertainment, too.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, you got the traditional pantomimes,
Right.
and then all those festive ballets at the Royal Opera House.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And don't forget about the ice rinks.
Oh, the ice rinks, yes.
Yeah.
They pop up everywhere.
Yeah, all over the city. It's funny how ice skating has become such a big part of Christmas in London.
It is kind of strange, isn't it?
I mean, it's not exactly a winter wonderland, naturally.
Yeah, we don't get much snow here.
But it definitely adds to the festive atmosphere.
Oh, for sure.
And it kind of ties into that trend we were talking about
Mhm.
of borrowing traditions from Northern Europe.
Right, like the Christmas markets.
Exactly.
Seems like London takes inspiration from all these different cultures to create its own unique Christmas experience.
Yeah, it's a real melting pot of traditions. And even going back to the Victorian era,
Yeah.
our sources mention that Christmas literature and rituals in England were already being influenced by German traditions back then.
That's right. things like caroling and gift giving.
Right. So maybe those Victorians who were trying so hard to define an English Christmas
Hmm.
actually ended up creating a more diverse and multicultural celebration.
It's funny how things work out, isn't it? Traditions are always evolving.
Yeah, they're constantly changing and adapting.
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing, actually, how cultures can learn from each other and share their traditions.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about the experience of Christmas in London.
Okay.
What is it about this time of year that makes London so special?
Hmm. That's a good question.
I mean, for both visitors and locals.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, I think it goes beyond just the lights and the markets and the shows.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a real sense of warmth and celebration that you feel throughout the city.
Yeah, I agree. Even when it's cold and gray outside, London feels cozy at Christmas.
Exactly. Like a warm hug.
Yeah. What do our sources say about this?
Well, they actually describe Christmas in London as a multi-sensory experience.
Oh, wow.
It's like a feast for the senses.
I like that.
You've got the smells of roasted chestnuts and mulled wine,
Oh, yeah.
the sounds of carols playing everywhere,
Hmm.
the sight of all those twinkling lights reflecting off the wet streets.
Right, and then all the delicious Christmas treats.
Exactly. The gingerbread, the mince pies, and then you've got that crisp winter air on your face.
Yeah, it's all those senses working together that make Christmas in London so immersive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think those senses are even more heightened because Christmas happens during the darkest time of year.
Oh, yeah, that's true. The lights and the music and everything stand out even more because it's so dark.
Yeah, it's like the city becomes this magical dreamscape.
Yeah, like a Christmas card come to life.
Exactly.
But of course, not everyone is so enthusiastic about Christmas in London.
Right.
I mean, some people argue that it's become too commercialized and focused on consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
So how do our sources address that criticism?
Well, they remind us that London is a commercial city all year round.
Right.
It's not just at Christmas.
So you're saying it's not fair to single out Christmas?
Exactly. Plus, a lot of the events and attractions that make Christmas in London so special are free.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Like those lights?
The lights. Yeah.
The Trafalgar Square tree lighting,
Yeah.
all the carol concerts.
Exactly. You can enjoy all of that without spending a penny.
So Christmas in London doesn't have to be about spending a ton of money.
No, not at all.
It's about soaking up the atmosphere and enjoying the festive decorations.
Exactly. And spending time with people you care about.
Right. Sharing the experience.
Yeah. And I think that sense of shared experience is really enhanced by the spirit of community that Christmas brings.
Oh, how
When
so?
people are out and about enjoying the festivities together,
Mm-hmm.
families, ice skating friends, meeting up at the markets.
Right, even strangers sharing a smile over a cup of mulled wine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's this feeling of togetherness.
Yeah, like everyone's part of this big Christmas family.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so we've talked about the visitors and the locals,
Mm.
but what about the role that businesses play in shaping the Christmas experience in London?
Oh, yeah. They're definitely not just passive observers.
So how do they get involved?
Well, they're really good at tapping into that Christmas spirit we were talking about.
Right.
They organize events, sponsor light displays, create social opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and they use all this elaborate theming to attract customers.
So it's like they're spreading Christmas cheer while also boosting their sales?
Yes, that's
It's
it.
a pretty clever strategy.
It is. But it raises an interesting question. How does the city manage this balance between commercial interests and public space?
Right. It must be a tricky thing to navigate.
It is.
Yeah.
And remember, we mentioned earlier that there's no single person in charge of Christmas in London.
Right. No Christmas czar.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
more of a decentralized approach.
So who's making the decisions?
Well, it's a mix of different groups.
Yeah.
Local councils,
Mm-hmm.
those business improvement districts, the beads.
Right. The beads. They all have a say.
So it's a real collaborative effort.
Yeah. Everyone brings their own ideas and resources to the table.
And that's what creates that diverse Christmas experience.
Exactly. You've got free and paid attractions,
Mhm.
traditional and modern elements, and that balance between commercial interests and public accessibility.
It's like a Christmas tree decorated with all sorts of different ornaments.
Oh, I like that.
Some are store-bought, some are handmade, some are old, some are new,
Mm-hmm.
but they all contribute to the overall beauty.
Yeah, I like that analogy a lot. Okay, so we've talked about how Christmas in London seems to be stretching further and further into November and even January.
Right.
Do you think that dilutes the magic of the actual holiday?
That's a great question. It's definitely a growing trend.
Yeah, like Black Friday, starting the shopping frenzy in late November,
Hmm.
and then events like Lumiere, that light festival that goes into January.
Right, it's like Christmas is borrowing time from its neighboring months.
Exactly. So does that make the actual holiday less special, or does it just spread the cheer out over a longer period?
I think that's up to each individual to decide.
Yeah,
Some people might feel like the extended season takes away from the magic of Christmas Day,
right.
while others might enjoy having more time to soak up the festive atmosphere.
I guess it also raises questions about whether this expansion is driven by genuine holiday spirit or just commercial interests.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm,
Are we really celebrating Christmas for longer, or are businesses just trying to make more money?
right. It's like that age-old debate about the true meaning of Christmas.
Exactly. What is Christmas really about?
Is it about religion or family traditions or acts of kindness? Or has it become all about consumerism and shopping?
It's probably a mix of all of those things.
Yeah, you're right.
Christmas means different things to different people.
And in a city as diverse as London, those different meanings are all amplified.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, Christmas in London is a fascinating phenomenon.
Yeah, it really is. It reflects the city's unique blend of history, culture, and commercialism.
Right. It's like this tapestry woven with threads of tradition and innovation and global influences.
And as we've seen, it's constantly evolving, adapting to new trends.
Exactly. And responding to the changing needs and desires of both Londoners and visitors.
Yeah. It's a reminder that traditions aren't static. They're always changing and growing.
Exactly. They have to adapt to stay alive.
Okay, so now that we've explored all these different facets of Christmas in London,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think makes it so irresistibly alluring?
That's a tough one. But I think,
So we're wrapping up our deep dive into Christmas in London. But before we go, I have to ask, what is it about Christmas in London that makes it so alluring?
yeah, it's a good question.
I mean, it's more than just the shopping or the lights, right?
Right. It's something deeper than that.
So what is it?
I think it's the escapism.
Escapism.
Yeah, Christmas in London offers this chance to escape from everyday life.
Oh, I see.
It's like stepping into a different world,
Yeah.
a world of enchantment.
Yeah, it's like those classic Christmas movies
Exactly.
with the snow falling.
Okay, well, maybe not real snow,
Right. Not always.
but at least you see it in the shop windows.
Yeah, and the carols playing everywhere. And that smell of roasted chestnuts.
Oh, yeah, all those smelling.
It's like London transforms into this perfect holiday scene.
It really does.
Yeah.
And, we talked about how Christmas takes place during the darkest time of year in London.
Right.
Well, that darkness actually makes the lights and decorations even more magical.
Oh, yeah, it's true. It's like the city is saying, hey, even though it's cold and dark outside, we're going to light up the night and create a festive wonderland.
Exactly. And that contrast makes it really special.
Yeah. So beyond the lights and the decorations, there's also that feeling of warmth and coziness that we associate with Christmas in London.
Oh, definitely.
What is it about London that creates that?
Well, think about all those inviting pubs with their roaring fireplaces
Oh, yeah.
and the smell of mulled wine and cinnamon everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And all the Christmas carols creating this warm, nostalgic atmosphere.
Exactly. All those things evoke feelings of comfort and tradition.
Yeah. It reminds you of childhood Christmases.
Right. And all those special moments with loved ones.
Yeah. It's like the city itself becomes this giant Christmas living room,
I like that.
inviting everyone to come in and warm up and share in the festive spirit.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And those shared experiences are really what make Christmas so special.
Right. It's a time for being with family and friends.
Exactly. Sharing meals, exchanging gifts, creating memories.
And London, with all its history and its festive atmosphere, provides the perfect setting for that.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's almost like the city's history is woven into the fabric of Christmas in London.
Right. It adds another layer of meaning.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we can't forget about the economic impact.
Oh, right. Christmas is big business for London.
It is. All those visitors in November, December, January, they really help to extend the tourist season,
Right.
which supports businesses and brings in a lot of revenue for the city.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, everyone benefits.
Okay, so we've learned that Christmas in London is this fascinating balancing act
Mm-hmm.
between tradition and commercialism,
Right.
public spaces and private spaces,
Yeah.
local and global influences.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is. But somehow London manages to create this experience that appeals to both residents and visitors.
And they do it while respecting the city's unique character and history.
Right. It's really impressive.
It is. And, this balance is constantly evolving as the city changes
That's true.
and as new trends emerge.
So what we see today is a result of centuries of traditions and adaptations and innovations,
Yeah, it's constantly changing.
which makes it even more fascinating.
Exactly.
Right.
It reflects London's ever-changing identity.
Right. It's a reminder that traditions aren't static.
No, they're not.
They're living, breathing things that adapt and evolve over time.
That's how they stay relevant.
Well, listener, we've come to the end of our deep dive into Christmas in London. I hope we've given you a taste of the magic
And the history.
and the complexities of this amazing season. We've unwrapped the layers of tradition and commercialism and community spirit.
And we've seen how they all come together to create something truly unique and captivating.
We've explored the history of those iconic lights
And the evolution of the Christmas markets.
and the cultural influences that have shaped this celebration.
And of course, we talked about the debate surrounding commercialism.
So now it's your turn, listener.
Mhm.
What are your favorite things about Christmas in London?
Have you experienced the magic firsthand?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Share your memories and your insights with us on social media using our show's hashtag.
And until next time, happy holidays.